Let's see. Why did the cursor disappear there? I don't know. Frickin' hell. Wonder found an unexpected sight. Unexpected sight among some destroyed tanks. We saw wounded Jade. Still alive, though some of them barely so. And some they yelled out they saw Brandt. Wonder, but didn't. Many of them were missing limbs, but their wounds. But Hennon bled to death because their wounds. I didn't were missing limbs, but Hennon bled to death because their wounds were cauterized. Cauterized by blasts. By the same blasts and wounded them. Left them in this state. There were some men who were almost totally covered in burns, but were not so blackened as to look skeletal. Skeleton. Look skeletal. They were in agony and were totally incoherent, just screaming at the top of their lungs. As for the wounded, as were men who were in better condition, they were coherent enough to scream, to yell for help in that guttural tongue of theirs that sent a chill down Wonder's spine. Wonder supposed any language, even her native Dutch. Wait, are you Belgian or Dutch? It's not the same thing. Dutch got that language, you know. It's separate. Belgian is... there's Dutch, Belgian, and French Belgian languages. And the big issue in Belgium, you know, is the divide between those two languages and two ethnicities, you know. Not enough tension to start war, I guess, but, you know, it's not like the tension between people in the Balkans, you know, like, where you have 13 different ethnic groups claiming the same land, going against their religions and whatnot. Wonder supposed any language, even her native Dutch. I'll change that to Belgian. Or French. Does she speak Belgian or French? That's another thing I have to correct, even if this is correct as is. If I have to change to Belgian, because Belgian isn't a language. There's Belgian, French, Dutch, Belgian. It's raining out there. Boy, is it hot in this room. I don't know. I feel like I'm sitting on a tanning bed. Not that I ever would do that, because that's just killing your skin. Supposing language, even her native Dutch would sound fearsome if spoken in the guttural way that the Jade did. Wonder had never heard a Lady Jade speak, and she wondered for a moment if it sounded, if they spoke the language in the same guttural way. There were some pretty Lady Jade that Wonder had seen from a distance, and Lady Jade. Sounds like the name of a Bond villain. The Bond villains usually are men, not ladies. Except for a few movies that I won't mention because that would be a spoiler. A major spoiler. And you know, when a James Bond movie has a good plot twist, You want people to be surprised by it, you know? Most Bond movies are very straightforward in their plotting and stuff. Not that I complain about it. I'm not one to talk. But you know, these days writers want to subvert expectations and whatnot. Maybe all this rain outside will cool this place off a little bit. Good God. I want a little cold air. Let's see. 5 minutes in. Yep. Let's see. And she wondered. Seems my distance. She doubted. She doubted their beauty would be spoiled by a rough way, just by a rough way of talking. Like a Ukrainian, I don't know. I don't know what Ukrainian sounds like as a language. I'm sure Ukrainian is a language. It's not like Belgian isn't a language. Even when people say Swiss isn't a language, well, you know, I'm sure they do have certain words and ways, linguistic things that would differentiate Swiss French, Swiss German, Swiss Italian from, you know, the way they're spoken in their countries of origin. Oh, and Swiss German too. You know, can't forget the Germans. When you're broken up bordered by all those countries, naturally there's going to be quite a mix of cultures and languages. Let's see, just a little bit of work talking. Wonder kept her distance from the dying, or maybe just badly wounded, baldly wounded. They were rendered bald, and when a man is bald, he might as well be dead, I guess. Wondered how wonderful things are in this world of ours. Kept her distance from a dying man, in case they might pull a gun on her. She kept the safety off her rifle. Oh, folks, a bit of gun safety. I heard that revolvers don't have safeties on them, so, be careful around revolvers, you know. Let's see, what other gun safety things? Oh yeah, there's that thing where a bullet is in the chamber of the gun, even if you remove the magazine. So just removing the magazine doesn't mean the gun is empty. With semi-automatic pistols, and I think that's how a lot of people get killed around here. So, you know, I think they should change that, you know, so that when you remove the magazine, there isn't a bullet in the chamber. Yeah, I think people have seen that in a lot of movies without them removing the bullet from the chamber after they remove the clip, and people think that means that they're safe. Yeah. I know we have responsibility when we write stories featuring guns and stuff, but, you know, people should exercise extreme caution around any sort of weapon, you know? It's like, you got a gun. Don't just mess around with it like it's some toy. That just goes without saying, I think. Let's see. Keeps the gun safety off. She kept the safety off her rifle, but didn't raise it. Raise it at any of the wounded men. In fear that she'd provoke a violent response, which they were quite known for. The wounded men were very desperate, yelling out to Wonder in various languages, including English and French, native French. Help us, they proclaimed. Wonder, suppose they sounded a shade nicer when speaking French. Cellian, not French. I gotta do some stuff to make the Cellians a little different from the French, like maybe give them some Japanese culture, like the French ladies wear kimonos or something. I don't know. The French ladies wear kimonos, and what do the Japanese ladies wear? Also kimonos? I guess. Like how there's many dresses and stuff. I saw a show where it was set in Tokyo in 1800s somewhere, I guess. Wherever the emperor was before Hirohito. And, you know, almost all the ladies were wearing, like, those kimonos on the street. And I thought, that'd be interesting to see that place. Wonder what kind of looks I would have gotten walking through the streets of Tokyo. 1890s or something. Some westerner. Yeah. It'd be like on one of those Gulliver Travels kind of novels, except in real life, I guess. Like exploring strange lands. Only instead of fiction, it'd be real. Yeah. It's funny how things are, you know, culture shock and all that. It's not a shade nicer when speaking Cillian. Perhaps the red mask, leader of the Volgan Union, or maybe the late Stefan Gazer would have. Yeah, I originally had him named Storgen, but that sounded too much like Gorgon, and that's a feminine thing. Gorgon's probably the most famous female monster in mythology, besides maybe the Sphinx or the what's the other one? Oh, the Harpy. Yep. And the Sphinx might be like I think only in some stories it's female. Is the famous Sphinx in Egypt supposed to be a female? I don't know. It's a little hard to tell with the 10,000 years of aging on the thing. And the body of a female lion, well, I don't know. Can't really tell the difference. At least when they're lying down like that. They had some teats on the underside, and yeah, it's likely a female. Maybe the late Stefan, leader of the Volgan, or maybe like would have sounded a lot more pleasant. Wondered if Red Mask was still alive, as he hadn't been seen in a long time in public. Perhaps he was still alive. Was killed in the fighting. And the Volgan Union, and the next time he appeared, it would just be some impersonator. That was the benefit of being a masked leader of a large country. Masked leader of a country. Suppose that was a benefit of having a masked man as the leader of your country. He could be killed and replaced, and no one would be the wiser. But he had a different sort of voice. Right, he had the same sort of voice. Maybe Red Mask would never die, and would always be the leader of the Volgan Union. Until it collapses unceremoniously in the late 1980s, after years of economic stagnation and military build-up for a conflict that never happened. Ugh, how sad are we, folks, that we never got that World War III that the Cold War promised for so long. Yep. I could be some mutant Chernobyl baby right now. Yeah. I could have been. I was born right after Chernobyl, so yeah, that's a great time to be born, right? Fucking dumbasses with that fucking plant. I mean, I'm sad that they met their ends like that, but still, how could they? Why weren't they more careful? Why didn't they stop it? You know, The reasons for Chernobyl, you know, it's too complicated for an idiot like me to figure out. All the talk about carbon rods being moved out places and explosions and water evaporation. I can understand why the Great War started, you know. They shot the Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary. One show I watched, they made the mistake of calling him the Archduke of Austria, which is actually a different title. A different guy who also died, but he wasn't assassinated, and nobody remembers him, so, you know, that's the way it goes. It's funny, a lot of those royal families are so inbred and messed up, they die like flies without anyone assassinating them. Or once in a while, one gets on the throne and he's like, ugh, he's not long for this world. Like them leaders of the Soviet Union that came after Brezhnev, that died in quick succession of cancer, you know, it's like... crazy. That was part of the reason why they fell, you know, I guess, 'cause, you know, the hardliners just literally died. They got replaced by Gorbachev. I guess they should have replaced if they wanted to stick around in power. Why do they need to reform? Why do we need reform? Let's see. Why do we need reform in the Soviet Union? Everything's splendid. Wonder heard some distant shooting. Some shooting off ahead of her. It was accompanied by screams of pain and terror. This was Jade accented. So Wonder assumed correctly that the Jade were getting taken out. That Jade were being taken out. The crazy thing was that it only sounded like one side was shooting at the other. Was it Brandt? No, not likely. At this point, Brandt was always fighting some big crowd of people. She was. Let's see, did I mention Wilhelmina? She was always fighting some big crowd of people. And those people would have been blown up in mass, not just beaten down, which was what it's... not just beaten down by their opponent, which was what that distant fight sounded like. Was it related to Wilhelmina Doria, who was also attacking the city? Wonder recalled one of the nicknames of Miss Goria, Frau Goria. Frau Goria, that's almost like Phantasmagoria. Isn't that the Fagoria magazine? Phasgoria? I'm not sure. It's some horror magazine that does things on horror movies. Probably a social justice thing. Right, probably a social justice thing now, probably, because, you know, journalists, they can't help but spout their political opinions every time they write an article about anything, even if it's about a horror movie. Also insulting the fans and, critics saying, why isn't this horror movie about my political beliefs? I'm gonna give it a bad reign because of that. You know, people in these magazines wonder why they're dying off. You don't get to pick your customers, folks. It's in a communist society. Many of these people would have been done much better in a communist society. They would be like, well, you don't like our magazine? Too bad, you gotta buy it. It's communism, baby. That's communism, baby. Who loves ya? Telly Savalas, he looks like how I would picture a leader of the Soviet Union. Except more charismatic and less, you know. I usually picture them, all of them besides Stalin, being like blocks of wood in suits. Not very interesting people. Yeah. Communism just can't come up, apparently can't come up with cool villains like fascism can. I mean, was there a leader of the Soviet Union that was as cool and interesting as Mussolini. Maybe cool isn't the right word. Yeah, probably not. Cool people don't invade Ethiopia and use poison gas on them. Let's see. Wonder what is it from. The Queen of Spiders. Had she brought her spiders with her? Wonder's question was answered. Answered when she caught up with that distant noise, with that fighting. It was over by then. And the surviving participants had moved on. It looked like the humans had won. Or there were two dead spiders lying in the middle of a courtyard. Or two dead spiders lying around. Or two dead spiders, and if the spiders had won, they would have been nibbling on the dead men. A bunch of dead jade. There were 4 dead jade. Obscenely mutilated in a ghastly way. Flesh ripped from their bones. Can I call it gassed? Gassed? I think a ghast is something from the, let's see, Dungeons and Dragons or something. I don't know. Some kind of one of those special races. I wonder what Dungeons and Dragons has contributed, like, species-wise to the canon of fantasy. Like, I mean, you know, Tolkien invaded almost everything relevant to fantasy and the Hobbits. I guess it wouldn't have been so bad. I guess it wouldn't have been, what do you just say, if the Hobbits were just replaced by regular humans. I don't know how much I would have changed the story. So, at least as I'm reading it so far, I'm only on book 2 of The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers. Let's see. Yeah, didn't that come out after 9/11? That movie? I'm surprised they kept that title. Yet, you know, people back then, we gotta capitulate to terrorists on every front or they might get us, you know. But I can't blame people, you know, people don't want to die. Nobody wants to die, even religious people, so, you know. And I can understand why people were so afraid of, you know, well, 9/11 just happened the year before that, who knows? 9/11 could have just been the beginning of things. They kind of were, but there was no big, huge, there was no, like, even more terrible 9/11. At least so far. We'll probably get one eventually, folks. Someday someone's gonna get a suitcase nuke and, well, some nice part of New York City or some other city is gonna just, like, gonna be, badly contaminated. Hopefully, it won't be like some nuclear bomb went off in the city, you know what I mean? Flesh ripped from their bones, limbs severed, like they had been struck by the world's sharpest blade. The one guy's head was off, with his tongue hanging out in a doggish manner, with the eyes rolled up in the sockets. Another man had been vigorously disemboweled, and he was laying on his side, his face frozen in terror, staring down at his spilled pink intestines. What color are intestines, folk? I guess they're pink. I kind of always picture them being brown or gray, you know, but I think most of the organs inside the body are pink or red. The lungs, I think, are kind of beige colored if they're healthy. See a pair of unhealthy lungs, like from a smoker's lungs, all black deposits in it, and they look, oh my god. Oh my lord. Let's see. The dead spiders. The weapons and backpacks of dead men. Weapons of the dead men had been taken, and the backpacks, their backpacks emptied. Emptied. The fight had literally ended about a minute and a half before Wonder arrived. Did I call her Wilhelmina by accident? Probably. I'm a bit of an idiot. Spiders didn't look much better. I wanted to show the description of the spiders here for your viewing pleasure, but I think I've rambled enough. So sorry. Have a nice day, folks.